What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Shred Show live with me, Josh Pitts. I'm very excited to have one of my good friends and honestly one of the top originators in the entire mortgage industry, Adam Smith, hanging out with me. Adam, I cannot thank you enough for coming out, hanging for a few minutes. We're going to be talking about a lot. First and foremost, Colorado Real Estate Finance Group that you're the president, you're the founder of. You closed close to 500 deals this year, which you're very consistent with year after year. You have Just the Tips coaching. There's so much we can get into, but bro, thank you so much for hanging out with me for a few minutes this morning.
Oh, I'm glad to be here, man. No sweat.
So let's dive right into it. There's so much you and I were just talking about prior to getting on here. And as everybody knows, this show is never scripted. There's just so many things that we can get into. And going into 2020, just around the corner, there's a lot that we're going to be sharing with you today. Again, Adam is a top originator, top broker in the entire industry. And it's so exciting to have somebody like him on the show. And as we were getting into here, to talk, Adam, to go live, is we were talking about some of the things that you've done throughout your career to be successful. And something that you said that it resonates so strongly with me is there are no secrets in this industry.
No, I don't think so. I mean, every now and then there's some new piece of tech. And you and I have been around long enough to see the inception of Facebook and Instagram and those kinds of things. But we're talking about tools that enhance the way you do your work, not things that are going to change your life, change your business. Bottom line is that you've got to be constant, consistent, work hard, shred, show up, hustle every day, shred. And that is really what I think is the key to success. I had somebody ask me before I spoke at a mortgage event, Mortgage Revolution one year, what's the secret? What's the one thing you would tell somebody to do to get where you're at? And I said, work hard for 20 years.
Yep. It's funny because everybody's wanting that diamond. Everybody's wanting that one secret, that unicorn in the industry right now. And literally everybody, they wish they could just get that one thing shared with them, but there's not one thing. Like, it just does take time to get to 500 transactions like you're doing. It just it's taken time. It's taking that repetition, that consistency, if you will. And again, if you do it and if you're willing to show up, hustle, repeat every day, you can get to where you're at.
You can. And that's the secret. If somebody were to ask me what's the secret, I would say show up, hustle every day for years and years and years. Be constant, be consistent. There's no magic potion, guys. It's just a matter of showing up, doing the work day in, day out. That's the key to success in originating loans.
So what's funny too is, again, everybody wants that, but it's just not there. And something that you and I were talking about as well as getting on here in Colorado, you have built this mega brand. You have absolutely built this influence. You become what I like to call like the digital mayor, not only the digital mayor, but you're just out and about creating relationships. And it's something, again, that's taken you this time to do. When it comes to building your brand, did you ever think that Facebook and social media would play such a dynamic role in it? Is Facebook or is social media, has it helped you really grow your brand?
Oh, absolutely. So when we started the brand, as it were, we had no concept that there would be the inception of Facebook, Insta, YouTube, etc. All these channels that are available to us, all these platforms that are available to us to further brands, to build brands, so on and so forth. But has it had an impact? Yeah, it's probably the majority of the impact. The ability to do things through the global network, through the interwebs, social media in particular, those kinds of platforms, when it comes to building a brand, to re-emphasizing that brand, to re-energizing that brand, for people that have been in the game a long time, their brand was probably fractional when it comes to the impact of what they were able to do once the social media environment developed. Right. So 80%, 90%, I can't even put a number on how beneficial those platforms are for building and furthering a brand.
And I think a lot of people, when they're using social media, like you said, is they expect that to kind of be their diamond. They expect that to be that one thing. But again, you still have to be consistent. It still takes work to utilize social media. You mentioned in the very beginning, there's all these latest and greatest and shiny tools and all these things coming to the industry. And I think as mortgage professionals, we're trying to shortcut it. But even when it comes to social media, there's no shortcut. Like, you still have to be willing to put in the work, put in the time. And then it comes with that consistency and time. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. These are not tools that are going to replace the things you do in your business. These are tools that are going to enhance the things you do in your business. You're not going to get out of doing the work, the actual work, just because you've got a badass Facebook page. It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way. Like you're crazy to think if you think just having a cool Facebook page and posting a few times or even once or twice a week, it's going to help you grow your brand, going to help you grow your business. That's not how social media is meant to be utilized, not how it's supposed to be used. So with that, I kind of want to jump into shift gears a little bit, and I want to jump into just the tips. And this, when everybody hears it, it's just kind of like, it's awesome. It's kind of a play on words. It's kind of a little edgy, and I love it. I mean, you wrote a book, and I know you have a copy of it sitting right there with you, but you wrote a book when it comes to just the tips. Tell us a little bit about this book. If nobody's ever read this book, I mean, where did this come to be? How did this start? Where did this come from?
So it took a while to actually put the format of it together. It's a toilet book. There's no rhyme or reason to it. You can read it in any order. It's 365 sales hacks, basically.
Awesome.
So a tip a day kind of thing. And it's even been suggested to me that we do one of those tear off calendars with the exact same content to it. But yeah, it's 365 sales and life hacks. And yeah, basically just one tip per page of something you could be doing to help you generate more leads, retain more clients, capture more content, add to your contact database, whatever the things are that you guys all know you need to be doing in order to further your business. You're just not doing it. So yeah, it took me a while to come up with the format. And it's funny, years ago, I spoke at a conference for strictly for mortgage originators. It was in Nashville, Tennessee. A couple of hundred people in the audience. Got to share the stage with some great people. Barry Habib, Brian Stewman, a bunch of people that have certainly had a big influence in the mortgage originating platform in that arena. And one of the organizers asked me or suggested to me prior to the event, hey, feel free to bring copies of whatever books you've written and you can lay them out in the back. And I'd had one really crappy book in the past, mostly about credit. And if you've got any insomnia, I'll send you a copy. It's a perfect read for that.
Put you right to sleep, right?
Yeah, so that was the catalyst. I was like, I really do need to put down on paper some of the things that I'm teaching on these platforms and get the content out there. So I started then. I want to say that was either 3 or 4 years ago. Took a couple of years to put it together. It's actually only been published now for about a year.
Nice.
Yeah, not quite. It was at the beginning of this year. And yeah, it's just been a whirlwind of speaking and travel and book launch parties. And it's been cool stuff this year that way.
Dude, that's awesome. And I'm going to come back to the book here in just a second. But guys, if you are just joining us, we have a lot of people jumping on from Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Vimeo, all over the social web. And if you're just joining us, make sure you comment #JustTheTips. So we're here with Adam Smith this morning with Just the Tips. And we're not just talking mortgage. I mean, both of our backgrounds in mortgage, or Adam is one of the top mortgage originators, top mortgage brokers in the entire country, originating over almost 500 transactions a year, which is literally insane to me. And again, I can't call him a one-man band, but he's the main guy doing this. So coming back to this, Adam, is there a tip in particular? Again, these are sales and life hacks. Was there one or two that kind of stood out to you as you were writing this, or is there one in particular? Again, I know there's 365 of them, but is there one or two that has like stood out to you, or people are like, dude, that's like my favorite one? Is there one tip in there that you're just like, yeah, this is one of my favorites?
That are my favorites. Well, we've certainly already covered being constant and consistent.
Sure.
So whatever it is you guys are going to adopt for how you want to do your lead gen, you've got to do it every day. With a lot of consistency, you've got to be constant about it. There's no equivocation. That's how it has to work. Now,
Sure.
We're constantly getting thrown all these shiny objects, as you put it, all kinds of magic tools that are going to revolutionize our business. And not only do I not think they don't really exist, but I don't think you need them. Maybe one of them. But for me, I love contact management. I love picking up the phone, calling people. I'd make hundreds of non-transaction related outbound phone calls every week. Literally.
You personally?
personally, every single day of the week, dozens a day. It works out to be, well, both me picking up the phone and dialing it on some automated platforms as well. I'm probably making 300 outbound phone calls, nothing related to a transaction every week.
Holy cow.
That generates a big chunk of my business. So I love the contact management stuff, but a good example of this, and a real estate agent that I'm coaching here at Just the Tips Coaching told me he was going to try door knocking. This is a method that's existed forever. It's not new. It's not fresh. If you're constant and consistent about it, go do it. And I'm never going to judge you for how you do your lead gen as long as you actually do it. So he says, I'm going to do 4 hours every weekend. Cool. After a month, he called me and said, well, that didn't work. It's like, dude, you did 16 hours. That's one work day in the life of a new originator, a new real estate agent. Don't tell me it didn't work. Tell me it sucked. Tell me you hated doing it, but don't tell me it didn't work. You go do 4 hours a day, once a week for a year, it's going to work.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, picking up the phone and calling somebody, that's probably one of my favorite things to do. I'd say that's one of my best tips. There is money at the other end of that line.
So you mentioned something that I think is, again, you're doing this as an originator. So many people think there are these perfect shiny toys like we're talking about that's going to, and you, I think you put it perfectly when you said these tools are to really help emphasize. They're really to help boost. They're not supposed to replace originating. They're not supposed to replace lead gen. You are still the main the driving force behind your origination. It's not some tool. It's not some fancy like, oh, this is going to do all my work for me. You're picking up the phone. You're making the phone calls. You're coaching, which this is where I want to go into next. And that's what Just the Tips is kind of for you. It's this coaching platform, but you're coaching real estate agents. When you mentioned that to me prior to getting on this, I'm like, dude, that's brilliant. Like, you want to bring value to a real estate agent, go coach them and help them get more business. If you're coaching them on how to get more business, I mean, they're going to feel kind of an obligation, not even an obligation, but a gratitude for what you're doing for them so they can go grow their business. So that's kind of been the model for you.
Oh, sure. And it's changed a little bit in recent years. There are a few LOs that are in our coaching client base right now. There's even a high-end car sales guy. I won't mention the brand since he didn't tell me I could. But yeah, it started with educating real estate agents on how to generate leads. I'm basically just teaching them the things that I'm doing, but it feeds the mortgage machine. So if I'm teaching 10 agents to generate leads the way I generate leads, I've just increased that lead gen platform for what could potentially be my own mortgage origination business tenfold. Well, let's even call it fivefold, because I'm hoping that these agents are generating leads for buyers and sellers. I'm only going to see the buyers, of course.
Sure.
But yeah, that was how it all started, was if I teach agents what I know about generating leads, I'm going to see some of those leads.
And it just makes sense. It's that simple. It's you going and adding value to these real estate agents, and they're going to be like, oh my gosh, like Adam, like this is awesome. You're helping them grow their business. They're grateful for it. It just makes so much sense. And again, this is the part that just blows my mind in this industry right now, is that especially new originators, they're trying to shortcut, they're trying to fast track, but there are guys like yourself. And I mean, I look at others like Shashank, Shakar, and some top originators in the industry that you are the ones doing it. You are the main driving force behind the action. And that's just what it is. It's that daily action that you are taking. You know, there's no shortcut. You've done this long enough to know that there is absolutely no shortcut. There are some tools along the way that can help really make more efficient, but you cannot, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, you should absolutely take this to heart, because again, if Adam's closing 500 transactions a year doing this, it just makes sense. Like, you can't expect to shortcut any of this. So
it's undeniable. And no, these tools, and don't get me wrong, some of them have a bigger emphasis than others. If your audience, I'm an old guy. If your audience is in Facebook, which mine is, then what a great tool. If it happens to be Insta, so be it. IG has all kinds of amazing features in their platform as well. But yes, we're talking about things that are there to enhance you doing the work, not replace you doing the work. So they're going to make you more productive.
Yeah,
that's it.
So here's a question, and we didn't talk about this, but I mean, we're talking about social media. How active are you on social media? How much time do you spend on social media? Do a lot of your deals come from social media?
This is funny stuff. So You've met Jen,
I
the
have.
marketing director at Just the Tips.
Yep.
And yes, but 9 times out of 10, if you see me on social media, it's probably Jen, which is funny because all the time I get people asking me, hey, did you see that post I put on Facebook? No, I barely have time to put my own stuff on Facebook, let alone scroll through it and see all 5,000 of my friends and what they're doing. But yes, a ton of social media. And the funny thing about it is you and I were in Vegas together for AIM back in October. And Gary Vee is on stage and he says to this entire audience, you guys have got to figure out 40 posts across all platforms a day. And of course, my eyes get as big as dinner plates. I'm sitting with the marketing director for GTG out of California. She basically does for them what Jen does for me. Her eyes got as big as dinner plates. And everybody's thinking, how can we do 40 pieces of content across all social media platforms in a day? And I'm not sure that that's feasible. But the answer to your question is, hell yeah, you got to be on social media. You've got to be ever present. Again, constant and consistent. If you've got a platform like we do, Just the Tips does a weekly little tip every week. It's just a 2-minute video blog, high production stuff, studio recorded, edited, etc. And people expect to see it Monday midday. We do a live show every Monday called How I Met Your Mortgage, 10:30 a.m. Mountain Time. People expect to see it at that time. Constant and consistent. Now, those kinds of things give us the opportunity to split that crap into what could be 40 posts a day. If we shoot a 30-minute episode with a guest, and I know you're going to be on our show next year, we can chop up all the great things that Josh says and put that out as graphics, as just copy, whatever the case may be. And boom, there's another 6, 12, 18 pieces of content for the course of the week, just as a 30-minute episode and podcast that you and I will do together.
100%.
Right. So, yeah, social media is a huge tool. But again, whatever it is you guys are going to do in your lead gen activities, you got to be constant and consistent.
So, and I love that you say that, and the fact that you bring up Gary Vaynerchuk, he talks about this all the time. It's like, you got to go out, put content. And then we get some of these people trying to put out content, and it's absolutely, and to each their own, but sometimes it is so irrelevant. And it's just like, hey, you are just trying to put out content to put out content. And I'm all about, and I talk about this too, is quality comes from quantity, but at the same time, like, you can't just be throwing out garbage all the time, because if you're doing that, your audience catches on to it and your audience is like, well, I'm not going to tune into Adam anymore. Like, it is absolutely irrelevant to me.
Yeah. Nope. Content and audience have got to come first. And putting things out there that aren't relevant, that are self-serving, that aren't for the greater good of your audience, your community, that's going to hurt you, not help you.
Well, and it goes back to you even making these phone calls. You mentioned earlier, when you make these, hundreds of phone calls a week, are you talking about mortgages? No, you're calling up and you're having a conversation. It's all about building relationships. And when I talk about social media, that's what literally you're just able to reach a wider audience. You're there to help build those relationships, because again, it's all about omnipresence. If you're making phone calls, social media is just one more play to add into there to have people see you on a regular basis. And if all you're doing is talking about mortgage, people literally don't care. Like, they really don't. Sometimes every once in a while, sure, there's some great information you can throw in there, but most part really doesn't matter. Now, I want to talk about
Josh, is there a subject that's more boring than mortgages?
Dude, there really is. And literally nobody wants a mortgage. Nobody wants a mortgage.
Tax law. If you guys were talking about tax law, that might be a hair more boring than mortgages, but that's it.
I say, other than that, I don't know if there's anything more boring than mortgage, because it really is just like, man, who cares? So I want to ask, you and I were talking about this. So going into 2020, you got Just the Tips and again, I'm going to highlight Adam here, because again, somebody who's closing 500 transactions, I think, is insane. So cool. Like, very few originators have ever accomplished that. And Just the Tips, you guys are a coaching platform. You guys know I don't hawk, like, I don't ad hoc. Me and Adam are really good friends, but when I have a good friend who's originating 500 transactions and you have the opportunity to work with him, Adam, if somebody does want to go into 2020 and they do want to maybe step up their game a little bit, Just the Tips is a coaching platform, a more one-on-one platform, correct?
Correct. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of content out there. Certainly the archives of the weekly little tip, the book, our live show. Every week we interview somebody that's an influencer in the industry or a top producer in the industry, both real estate and mortgage. Jen Duplessis has been on the show. Barry Habib's been on the show. People that absolutely are worth listening to, because we want to make sure that our audience is getting a different perspective than just Adam, because that gets boring. But yeah, so there are a number of different things along those lines. But yes, it's a one-on-one coaching platform. We're very key about who we work with, and that we limit the number of people we work with at any given time so that everybody gets a certain amount of attention. It's a year-long program. There are a dozen modules. It's an hour a week, one-on-one time. The first thing I do is go out to see them. I'm going to fly out, check out your workspace. I typically make people buy a lamp, rearrange furniture, make sure that their workspace is a comfortable place that they want to go to, that's going to make them more productive. A lot of sales psychology behind that.
Nice.
And then, we focus on contact management, contact databases, social media, Facebook, Insta. We do a lot of video, live, like what we're doing here, open broadcast, high production. We talk about team structure. Some people want to focus more on their contact management. Some want to focus more on their Facebook Messenger, whatever the case may be. So there's no set schedule as to week 1, we're going to talk about this. Week 26, we're going to talk about this. Week 52, I'm going to patch on the bottom and wish you luck. It doesn't quite work that way. But yeah, it is a one-on-one program. You get me for an hour a week for a year.
Wow.
Most people seem to be able to tolerate that. Everybody but my wife. So yeah. We've had a lot of fun, and we have helped some people really turn their game around.
Dude, that's cool. And that is if you're listening right now and you want more of a one-on-one, that's definitely, Adam is one of those guys. Again, somebody who's closing 500 transactions. If you haven't accomplished that in your business, you can literally pick the brain for an hour a week with somebody who's doing that. So I think that's incredible to me. And I can honestly say I never reached that level of production. So that's insane to be able to pick the brain of somebody who has accomplished that. So it's so much fun to see, Adam, and to hear the perspective of somebody who is originating on this type of level. Because again, I started the show in this way. There are very few originators who have ever accomplished that, or who ever will accomplish that. And again, we're not just stroking Adam's ego here. We're not just like, hey, this guy's, he is the man in my eyes. Like I said, incredible. But at the same time, it's just the simple things that you're doing. Everything that you have talked about on the show today, everything that you mentioned, all these tips, everybody can do them. They are not outside anybody's will. You don't have this special gift that no one else has. It's just a matter of doing what you're talking about.
I'll do you one better, Josh. When we started coaching real estate agents on lead gen, the original platform was called Zero Cost Marketing for a Repeat and Referral Business. So not only is this all stuff that you guys can all do, but it's going to cost very little money to do it. You've got email, you've got a phone, you've got social media, you've got the internet, you've got the capability to text, you've got the capability to slide dial, whatever platforms, whatever tools you want to use to enhance your lead gen activities. Odds are you've already got the tools you need and are paying for them, and you don't need to fork out a ton of cash to make it work.
Yeah. And that's just it. Is so many people think they have to spend oodles of money on all these tools and this, I need this and this and this and this and this, and when in fact they just need a couple. So with that, is there a tool you mentioned, slide dial? I mean, is there one tool that you use probably more than anything? Do you actually, before this, do you use a CRM at all? I know Shashank. I've talked to Shashank recently, and he uses a spreadsheet. There are some LOs who think they need every tool in the book, but they don't. Do you use a CRM?
Outlook, baby.
See, ladies and gentlemen, if two of the top originators in the entire country, Adam Smith and Shashank Shekhar, they use Excel and Outlook, that's insane to me. Like, that is so crazy. Okay, but number one tool, what tool is it? Slide dial? What is one that really helps you be more efficient? Maybe it's not the latest and greatest, but what helps you be more efficient?
Slide Dial is certainly cool, and we've obviously taken it to the next level with Slide Broadcast, particularly on the Just the Tips platform. We blast out a monthly tip to any potential client, originator, real estate agents. It's thousands of them every month. So that's really a cool tool. Mighty Text, we love using for mortgage origination, lead gen activities. We text out happy birthday greetings. We text out requests for writing us reviews, Zillow, Facebook, Google, whatever. So yeah, I would say those are two of the great tools, especially at low or no cost, that we really dig.
I was gonna say, ladies and gentlemen, Slide Dial and Mighty Text, I use both of them and Originate. Like, those are two very simple, I mean, dirt cheap, absolute dirt cheap, and they can help you be so more efficient. When it comes to texting people, I don't know if you guys know this, 97% of people open up a text within 3 minutes of getting it. So texting is such a powerful platform, like such a powerful platform. So Adam, I mean, you and I we could keep chopping it. There is so much more we could talk about, but I want to be respectful of your time. We've been talking for 25 minutes here. So I want to kind of end on this. We've talked about there is no one secret. There's nothing that is going to go out and change your business overnight or tomorrow. But going into 2020, if you were to challenge everybody watching this, everybody listening today, what's something you would challenge them to do going into 2020 to really help them start to see that production start to ramp up?
If we're talking about people that are going to be in the Shred platform, in the Just the Tips platform, agents, originators, people that have a direct-to-consumer type of gig in a big market, not a big market like Denver, LA, whatever.
Sure.
I'm talking about in high-dollar items, homes, mortgages, Ferraris, whatever the case may be. You could easily double your business this year. All you've got to do is continue your organic activities that you did in 2019 with the understanding that that's going to generate whatever you closed in 19 in 20. Then go to those people you closed in 19 and ask each of them for just one referral over the course of a whole year. Just one.
Just one.
If those people you closed in 19 will refer you just one, and you do your organic activities in 20 that you did in 19, you can double your business.
That is so simple. This is one of those things that's just like mind blowing. So many of us overthink it and are just like, oh, like I got to go do this and this and this. But literally that one simple thing that I just gave you can double your business. It doesn't matter if you've done 20 transactions, 50, 100, like you go back and ask every single person that you closed in 2019 for one referral. That's just one referral over a year. Like
over a year, just
dude,
one.
That's a no brainer. Like no brainer. That to me, that literally everybody listening right now, they should be like, if you have no strategy, no strategy at all for 2020, that one strategy can double your business. With that, we're going to end. That is an incredible tip. Just the Tips by Adam Smith. Guys, if you don't have his book, Adam, if people want to get a copy of your book or if they want to get more in touch, how do they reach out to you? How do they get in touch with you?
I would say the best thing to do for all of those platforms is just text tips to 63566.
63566.
Text tips to 63566.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen, the always inspiring, enthusiastic Adam Smith. We appreciate you joining us today, man. Just the Tips. And I'm going to be getting a copy of this book because I'm going to share some of these tips with everybody on here, because I guarantee if you watch today, I guarantee you got something that's going to go help you in 2020. If nothing else, this last challenge of getting one referral from everybody you closed in 2019. Adam Smith, thank you so much for joining us, brother. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure, man.
Guys, as always, we appreciate you. We love you. Make sure you show up, you hustle, you repeat every day. See you guys.